But one of the things that I see have much more potential going into the future is to enable basically any merchant and any community to have either their own token or their own kind of integrations with the platforms online, meaning that and that's really a pretty big example. Every single cryptocurrency that you integrate into a platform, may it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, NAV.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another really exciting episode on Voice of Crypto's podcast. In today's episode, we'll be diving into the exciting world of Web3 crypto and blockchain technology and assess their impact on e commerce and its innovation. And our guest for the day, Daniel Servade. He is the founder of Celix, which is a groundbreaking digital e commerce platform, and he will be sharing more insights into how his company embedded these revolutionary emerging technologies. Hi, Daniel. It's really, I'm stoked to have you on Voice of Crypto today. How are you doing?
Hey there, thank you for having me. Absolutely, I'm doing super fine, thank you. And yeah, happy to talk about everything that we've done so far in the cryptocurrency and blockchain industry.
I'm looking forward to the discussion, and I'm sure that this is going to be a really insightful talk, especially looking at your background, how far you've come, and most importantly, at such a young age. Can you walk us and our audiences through your journey from being a student to building Celix? How did you get fascinated by the technology, and how did entrepreneurship sort of pull you in?
Yeah, so well, to be honest, everything began a couple of years ago when I was around 13 or 14. And that's really when I received my first cryptocurrency transaction. Because at that age, I was pretty young, but I was basically working on websites for a few clients that I had at the time, like websites that basically were related to anything, not really just specific to cryptos. But since I was not able to have my own bank account, a credit card, PayPal account, or whatever, I was getting paid through cryptocurrencies. So that's really when I received my first Bitcoin transaction. And since then, I really loved how the whole cryptocurrency and blockchain space was because it enabled me to get paid from basically anywhere in the world without having to go through too many hassles to do that. And from that point, it's where I started basically implementing cryptocurrencies as a payment method into any kind of website or solution that I was developing since then.
Wow, sounds pretty amazing. E-commerce, as we all know, saw a tremendous growth, especially post-pandemic and during the pandemic. How did you come up with the idea of integrating blockchain technology with e-commerce? And do you see this industry sort of radically transforming in the coming few years? How do you feel blockchain basically has transformed this industry?
I think that of course, the first and the major part that blockchain and the cryptocurrency industry will take into the commerce, and mainly in our case into digital commerce, is the way that it basically enables you to do cross-border transactions without having to rely on a single party. So, for example, in the commerce industry, what's really lacking for some companies is the way to accept and being able to accept payments from around the globe. So let's say I'm an Italian company and I need to accept payments from India, from the US, from China, and from even like Australia or Japan or any other countries. And the issue is that you don't really have many payment providers that enable you to do so with basically no fees and without having to go through too many steps when doing so. And that's really one of the things that we saw that there was an opportunity for us to integrate cryptocurrencies in this space. And also one of the reasons why we believe that it will be really important going on in the future, because there is this necessity for not just merchants to get paid, but for customers to find a way to pay those merchants. Because as of now, how the standard finance system works, it really doesn't allow for this kind of cross-border transactions in a really seamless way. And that's the first thing. The second thing, of course, is all the other reasons why would you choose and what you would go with cryptocurrencies, which is not rely on any single party to process or decide what to do with your transactions with your money. And then you also have all these steps of privacy and so on.
Absolutely. So, decentralized finance, DeFi, basically has played an important role in sort of the expansion of cross border payments. And a lot of DeFi solutions have emerged in the last couple of months. And DeFi, without a doubt, gained a lot of prominence post pandemic, much like cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and other such Web3 centric technologies. How do you envision DeFi's integration with e-commerce platforms like yourself, Celix, and what benefits do they bring to buyers and entrepreneurs, apart from, of course, faster payment times and lower maybe transaction fees and all of those?
Yeah. So one thing for to mention, for example, is that we already are into DeFi. So a few of our systems for Ethereum, stablecoins, and so on are made through decentralized smart contracts. So we do that already. But one of the things that I see have much more potential going into the future is to enable basically any merchant and any community to have either their own token or their own kind of integrations with the platforms online, meaning that and that's really a pretty big example. Every single cryptocurrency that you integrate into a platform, may it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Nano, Monero, or whatever, brings with them their own cryptocurrencies, sorry, their own communities. So
Mm.
just by integrating one single crypto or one different token, maybe you have access to so many more and different merchants than you would have normally, and by accepting one single crypto. And that's the first thing. The second thing is that there are so many different and possible integrations that you could do, for example, with NFTs. So you could have access to certain contents based on community NFTs, access to certain discounts based on NFTs you own, and anything similar to that. So I truly believe that maybe not today, of course, because cryptocurrencies are not really adopted by the masses. It's still a pretty low market cap if you compare it to traditional finance. But we truly believe at Celix that it will be the future going forward, not just for standard payment transactions, but also for the ways into which different communities can start to integrate and to advance into this kind of not just commerce world but the payment world as well.
Yeah. Talking about your own startup, how did you come up with the idea of the firm, and how did you establish it from grassroots level? What all things did you do first, and how did it become a firm that has processed over, if I'm not wrong, 90 million euros in transactions till now? Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, so we are two co-founders. One is me, one is a German friend of mine, and we created the company in November 2021. And the reason why we decided to start Cylix was because we saw that there was something missing into this space. Basically, there was no real solution that enabled merchants to sell digital products online easily. And by digital products, I mean anything for which the entire transaction happens online. So, for example, license keys, activation tokens, video courses, software, subscriptions, anything of the sort. And really, there was nothing, no single service, no single platform that enabled you to do so. And at the same time, to accept cryptocurrencies whilst selling your products. So we saw this market opportunity, this opening, let's say, and we then decided to launch an MVP of Celix into certain communities that we were both in. There were Discord communities that were talking about trading, cryptocurrencies, anything of the sort. We launched Celix into those, and then what happened is that people really, really appreciated our work. And then we
Yeah.
started using the cash flow from those initial merchants as a way of earning for a platform and to improve, all the features that we've been working on today. And that's really also one of the most important things for us for the company, which is that um, we have been completely profitable and we've been using all those profits since 2021 to improve and to develop all the features that have been requested by our merchants. But going into more of the details into founding the company, so we have the headquarters here in Italy, but it's not been easy for me because, for example, when I started the company, I was 18. I was still going through high school, and so I had to balance studying with having calls with lawyers and whatever just to incorporate the company. So yeah, it's been really challenging, but we're happy that we are here today.
Absolutely, and we're happy to see your success story. I was also reading something on on your LinkedIn, which said that you're one of the top entrepreneurs in Europe and you're one of the top young entrepreneurs in Europe. We know, Daniel, that you've done some amazing work with Celix, and you still continue to sort of build the firm. And if you have to pinpoint three of your most important learnings from setting up this business, what would they be?
So I think that the first and most important one is that if you want to launch your own business, or you have your own idea, you should just get right to it. You should not wait to have a perfect solution, because that simply does not exist. So if you have something that you really want to do, and if you have a product that you believe that you can launch, you should just find some niche, some small community that would use your product. You launch it there immediately without waiting for it to be perfect. And then once you've done it, you just, you work on improving it. And then once you have the MVP ready, you work on, and mainly your MVP ready with the audience already there, you do what, companies and founders usually do, which is you search for money from investors, from VCs. So that's the first thing that I think matters most, which is if you have an idea, just go on with it. Don't wait for it to be perfect before releasing it to the public. Um, the second thing, which is very, very similar to that, is that you should not start with a product for which the audience is the entire world. You should always focus on a problem that some kind of small communities and niches have, because otherwise you will just be outclassed by other companies that have been in the industry for much more time than you. So what you need to do is to just find some kind of niche group. You find what the problem about that group is, you develop a solution for it, and then you scale that solution up, to include more groups in the future. But you should not start big, you should start small and then get big later on. For the third one, to be honest, I really think it depends on what kind of company or idea you have. In the blockchain industry, which is what I can talk for, the main problem we have today is is how everything is so funky. Like the UI, the interface and the experience of the solutions that we have today are so broken that they will never be used by the masses, because it's simply impossible for them. Like you need to be a technical person in order to be able to use and to play with cryptos today. That's one of the things we're trying to solve, and that's one of the things that, to be honest, I think will matter most once we go forward. And so if I were to give you my third point here, is that if you want to launch a product into the blockchain industry, rather than focusing on creating your own token or whatever, you should focus on solving problems that we are having today in this space, which are so many that I can't even list them all. And once you found the solution for them, you just go ahead with it.
Yeah. No, couldn't agree more. And some really great pieces of advice out there. Uh, you said you said you're pretty correct about how there are a lot of problems in this space still. However, another side of the story is, and if we look from the lens of Web 2 perspective, a lot of people from Web 2 backgrounds often say that there are a lot of budding businesses in this space, in the Web 3 blockchain space. However, not all of them cater to a problem. There are a lot of solutions to problems that don't exist. So, and this sort of leads to a lot of noise in the Web3 blockchain space. How do you, as an entrepreneur, sort of separate the noise from decent products or projects that are in this space?
Yeah, it's really true, because sometimes people like invent the problem and then work on a solution for it. But if you do that, there will be, of course, no merchants or customers or people that will want to use it, because the problem simply does not exist. It's something that you have just created. And unless you're Apple and you're removing the iPhone jack and creating the solution, which is the AirPods, you will not be able to do it. So the important part here, and it's the same thing, but to be honest, in the Web2 world, is that you should focus on problems that people and customers have. So you first look into what normal people or the normal cryptocurrency users do. You see what pain points there are, and then you base a solution off of that. You should not go around and around into inventing problems and then finding solutions for your own problems, because that's just counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very important thing to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Now, we talk about blockchain as a technology. It is, in fact, known for its transparency and traceability. So, how can these sort of pros that blockchain technology has be used to leverage and tackle issues in the e-commerce space, like maybe counterfeit products, ensuring quality, so on and so forth, even building e-commerce transactions? And have you at your firm already used these? What are some of the problems that you encounter, and how does blockchain technology sort of cater to those issues?
So, the first issue that we've seen with certain blockchains, and those are the most popular ones, so you take Bitcoin or you take Ethereum, is the cost of transaction fees. Because of course, when talking about e-commerce industries, you will frequently have transactions and payments that are maybe less than $10 or so. And what happens with those is that you end up paying $3, $4 for a €10 transaction, which is of course too much. So, but those are standard problems that are solved by other paying through secondary layers. So a layer two on top of Ethereum or Litecoin or Lightning for Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies, for example, Nano that has no fees, or cryptocurrencies just Solana and so on, which have much
Hmm.
lower transaction fees. But those
Yeah.
those are the standard things in the blockchain industry, which is how much payment and transactions really cost to broadcast. Um, in terms of other implementations, of course, as I've said before, we have our own decentralized solution for EVM payouts and transactions. So, meaning that you have Ethereum, you have USDT, USDC, and all these coins that are EVM based. So that basically accept smart contracts and so on. You have Binance Coin, you have Polygon, and the way we have used the blockchain and smart contract with those is that we have created our own decentralized payment solution. On the other hand, however, there are many more kind of options into which you can utilize blockchain. The first one is, for example, with decentralized storage through either, for example, Filecoin, which is an implementation of IPFS, which basically means that you're able to to store in a decentralized way all your storage. We use it for certain services, and for example, for NFT issuing, when you want to store not only the NFT but the image of the NFT, so that it's decentralized just as the reference on the blockchain is. On the other hand, we also have a few other cryptocurrencies such as Concordium, for which their native kind of usage is to also prevent attacks, bot, and spams into any kind of platform and payment providers and blockchain. And so there are many more uses that, to be honest, are not really widespread so far, but that could be in the future. That would really help not just by blocking fraud and spam transactions and bots, but to be honest, to just facilitate and to improve the infrastructure of not just our company, but the any kind of crypto company in the future.
Makes sense. Uh, you did mention NFTs in while you talking about the effects of blockchain technology. Now, NFTs did gain a lot of popularity in the art and entertainment industries. Do you see a potential future? Do you see a potential future for NFTs in which they are able to disrupt the traditional e-commerce industry? If so, how can they be integrated into platforms like Selex?
We are, to be honest, working already in some kind of NFT integrations. The let's say first idea that comes to mind is for what you would call token gating. So basically, what you do with NFTs is that you can um, give discounts, or you can give certain rewards or certain products or certain features only to NFT holders. So basically what happens is that when you go through your checkout, you connect your MetaMask wallet, you connect your Chainlink, your Polygon wallet, or whatever, and then what happens is that um, we or the merchant in this case checks for specific NFTs. So let's say an NFT collection, or maybe an NFT that you've purchased into a physical live event that the merchant had in the past. And if you have that NFT, you then gain access to discounts in the page. You gain access to any kind of rewards that the merchant wants you to have. So that's one of the first thing that comes to mind, which is basically during the checkout phase you have a button, a claim rebate, where you get a discount if you are holding an NFT, and that functions to group and differentiate from one-off customers to the members of the most active members of your community. So that's one of the ways that could be done. At the same time, you have also the standard NFT usage which we've been accustomed so far, which is you buy a physical product, an NFT comes with it, so that you have not just a physical product, but also the proof that you own that physical product in the blockchain. That's also one of the other ways. To be honest, I don't think they will revolutionize the way that commerce is done, but they are a really, really nice feature going forward. And it's something new. Not revolutionizing, but something new to be sure.
Yeah, with so much of gamification talks in the Web3 space, especially, are there ways in which you can gamify e-commerce platforms? Is this something that you've given a thought to, or even heard about it?
Well, if you talk about gamification, like there was an idea in our team to release some sort of battle pass for Celtics. So imagine you're a merchant, you buy a battle pass, and then what happens is that once you reach a certain number of sales, we send you a coupon, or once you do X, we do Y. That's it. That is an idea that we still have, to be honest. We haven't done it yet because it's a little bit silly, but I don't see how many opportunities for gamification there could be on an e-commerce platform, but surely somebody will invent something in this space.
I'm sure. So, Daniel, we know that Web3 sort of works in these hype cycles that which lure in a lot of new users, customers, whatever you call the beginners in this space. So now I think the new term for this year has been AI. Artificial intelligence has been the talk of the town. And how do you see, what sort of a potential do you see in the convergence of AI and blockchain? And is Selex already sort of working on certain AI products or projects? What are your thoughts on this emerging
Yes.
tech?
There are two terms, AI and blockchain, which they're fairly thrown around, but that have, to be honest, no connections with each other.
Yeah.
Though surely one can help the other, mainly AI can help blockchain. Meaning that, for example, when we're in the phase where you need to introduce your end consumers to the cryptocurrency and blockchain world, and they need to learn what it is, how they work, how they could pay with Bitcoin, or why they should pay with Bitcoin rather than credit card. And that's really easy if, for example, in your store, in your website or whatever, you have some kind of assistant to them to do such things. So let's say that the customer, you are a merchant and you accept only cryptocurrencies. And then it comes a customer that has no idea how they should pay you. So if you have some kind of not the standard help documentations where the customer has to search by themselves, but if you have some sort of chat widget where an AI system can help them and say, hey, we accept cryptocurrencies, here's how you can get them, here's what you should do these steps, and then you can pay. That removes a ton of friction from the end consumers and helps you converting more and more sales. And I think that the AI part of things will be a really, really great integration into the commerce industry. Not really much into the payment industry because, like, other than blocking fraudulent payments, there's nothing more you can do with AI on the payment side of things. Maybe helping with reconciliation and so on. But where it will help most is into the commerce aspects of things, where basically is I am a customer and I'm me as an AI, I'm helping that customer decide what products he want to buy, and how much he should be paying. And based on that, I can also automate, all these kind of occurrences for the new customers to come. So I see blockchain and AI, two things that are different from each other and then will go in parallel rather than helping each other out. But if we're talking about helping each other out, I think that AI is most important in this side of things because it will help the transition from customers paying with credit cards to customers paying with cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, no, makes sense. So, if we talk about the Web3 movement, it sort of emphasizes on user ownership of data and identities. Now, there have been talks of decentralized identity systems for quite a bit. And how do you see these decentralized identity systems impact the way customer data is handled and secured, especially on e-commerce platforms? Do you guys have something of that sort in play, and how do you guys deal with customer data?
So decentralized identities is a bit of a weird topic now because you could do that, but also you're required by certain regulations, mainly in Europe, in the European Union for now, is to you will need to have customer data if you're doing some kind of services with cryptocurrencies, and that's
Mhm.
related to regulations. So it really depends on what you do. So, for example, if you're offering a non-custodial service, then yeah, absolutely, you should either not ask your customers for that much data, or you should just ask the necessary data. Um, but what the most important thing about decentralized identities, for example, is when you do KYC or KYB, which basically means that you're asking your customers to give you the documents. Those documents should not be stored in a single identity, but you should spread them out, which is the idea behind the centralized identity. So it's not something that we're doing today because we don't need to do KYC, or we're not in that phase yet. But it's surely something that we will be keeping in mind should we do something of the sort, just because it's always better to have files and important data shared across multiple systems rather than storing into one single identity and provider.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you also, Daniel, while we're at it, can you also share certain exciting projects or products that Selex has in pipeline, particularly those that leverage blockchain technology or cryptocurrencies?
Yes, the first thing that we're about to release, to be honest, is the on-ramp and off-ramp services. So you pay with cryptos and you receive fiat, or you pay with fiat and you receive cryptocurrencies. That's the first thing. But in the upcoming months, we will be also working on our own, let's say, exchange and more wallet services for our audience. So I think that those are the most important parts. And then, of course, we will also have our own blockchain, which we will need to do in order to basically provide not zero, but very, very low transaction fees across multiple cryptocurrencies, doing the what you call wrapping and unwrapping of tokens. It's a little bit complicated. We're still working on it, but we should have it ready by the end of next year.
Sounds pretty amazing. Looking forward to all of these developments, and we're almost at the end of our session as well. My final question to you would be, as a young entrepreneur, what advice do you have for others who might be inspired by your journey? Because it sure is inspiring, and for people who want to create a path similar like yours in the world of technology and innovation, what are your advices?
So the first advice is to understand the industry that you're trying to work in. So in my case, for example, it was to first join those online communities and see how, what problems those merchants had. Like I wanted to develop a solution for something, but had no idea what those problem was. And so to understand the problems first, I had to see what and how others were doing things. And then based on that, we decided to start Celix. And so, again, from the points that I told you earlier, is finding a solution for a real problem. Don't invent a problem, and then launch immediately with an MVP just to see, the reaction from your new customers and for the customers you will have in the future. Other than that, to be honest, there's really nothing else to say that can be generalized to the public because every single experience is different from each other, and every single person is different. So it really depends on the personal experience that everyone has. But I think that the 3 points that we talked about earlier are the most important part and the most important thing in your journey to start developing your own company, your own solution, and to do things in the future.
Also, I did forget to ask you, but you're a self-taught coder, if I'm not wrong. How did
Yeah.
that journey of yours look, and how early in your life did you start coding, Daniel?
Yeah, I started around again 13 or 14, when it was the time when I first, received my crypto transactions. I had a bit of a weird journey because I started with C and C++. Then I moved to Python, and then I moved to PHP. And
Yeah.
today I'm still going a few things with PHP, for example, the Salix API. Um, but the most important part, to be honest, when you're talking about coding, you don't really need to learn it into like university or schools. Everything is online. That's, to be honest, the best part about it. You can learn and teach yourself everything that you need to know, not just in the coding, but in the blockchain industry. So that was pretty easy. But yeah, that's basically how I began. Then, of course, I went to a company here in Italy before starting Salix, which taught me a lot of more, not in the coding industry, but in the infrastructure. So with AWS, cloud computing, and so on. But yeah, coding is absolutely easy to start when you have every single resource for free that you need online.
Absolutely. An amazing conversation we had with you, Daniel, and some great pieces of advice were given out here. Thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks to everyone who joined us here today. Our conversation with Daniel Servade has shed light on the transformative potential of Web3, crypto, blockchain in shaping the future of e-commerce, and how these technologies would sort of integrate to create a new future for e-commerce industries. And we had the guru of e-commerce with us today. So thanks for joining us, Daniel, and hope to see you really soon. All the very best for your developments with Celix.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.